Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human. Welcome to today's Lunchtime Chats. Our topics of discussion today are as follows. What does it feel like when layers of your ego/personality constructs, what does it feel like when they are falling away? Someone wanted a more descriptive sharing around that. And then we're going to be talking about the Orion Wars and the master geneticist and what the significance is to this having these memories come online for you as a multidimensional. This is a huge, huge thing, and pretty much, yeah, it's a threshold for us to cross over. So I'll be talking about that. And then I'll be talking about what does a fourth dimensional blind spot feel like, and how can I tell that I'm having that, how can I tell there's one there? So we'll be talking about that as well. So welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome, Aaron. Welcome, Jillian. Welcome, Hodai. Good to see you guys. Glad to have you here. So I'll go ahead and talk about the 4D blind spots first. Now, if you guys have any sharing or any questions around the, what I'm talking about in this piece, feel free to share in the comments, and I will be sure to check them to check them periodically as I go through these pieces. So 4D constructs. All right, so first we need to get a little clearer about fourth dimension. Now, fourth dimension is an even numbered dimension, and which means it is a dimension that creates a construct through which a free will expresses itself. So I have my handy dandy my board back here. So we have our 9D ladder. I've talked about this many times. This is a Palladian teaching brought forward by a Cherokee record keeper by the name of Barbara Handclough. And she brought forward these teachings in a book called Alchemy of the Nine Dimensions. The birthing of the actual teachings were in the Palladian agenda, but then it took many years of developing the understanding of these lenses through working with groups to get what this, to really develop and flesh out what the dimensions were and how humans are engaged, even when they don't know it, in these levels of awareness. And I was in that group. There was a group that happened every summer in Lilydale, New York, and I was a regular participant in that group, exploring these dimensions and how to work them and activate them, so on and so forth. So if that's the background story, if you guys want to do some research and really dive into these teachings, it's very, very big and juicy teachings. And I'm just going through the parts that that we need to know about in order to have a good explanation for this question. So this ladder, this multidimensional ladder here, has 9. There's more dimensions in existence, but this has 9. And that is because there are 9 lenses that humans have access to in their standard biosuit. So that means all humans on this planet, if they consider themselves intuitive or not, psychic or not, insightful or not, intelligent or not, all those things, no matter what, you have these levels of engagement hardwired into your human experience, into your biosuit. It's unavoidable. So that's a piece. So that 4D construct, the fourth dimension is right here. Notice the other even dimensions that it shares. The 8D, the all that is consciousness, how we perceive God, and of course we perceive God as a creator being, right? Okay. And in that there's rules with that, hence the teachings around the law of one, the law of manifestation, the law of this, the blah, blah, of that, right? Okay, and then we have the 6D, which is the blueprint. And the blueprint is a structure that is a multidimensional structure that we express our consciousness through, right? Another construct. And then we have 4D, which is how all those nesting dolls of realities fit together and create a mental field through which us humans perceive our reality. And this is a really important piece, the mental field through which we perceive our reality. And this is because humans are trained to mainly accept mental data sets, okay? There's many other data sets, of course, available to our awareness that are beyond the mental field. And this is the really big piece here. If you can visit these other aspects of who you are without filtering it through the mental body, you have the tools you need to transcend any 4D block that you might have. Okay, so and I don't want to leave out the telluric realm. The telluric realm is cellular intelligence. It's the language of atoms and molecules, but it's also the existence of cellular intention and their intention for life and how it comes together and creates this foundation that creates all these systems for our biosuit. So it's like the 2D is the solid, the most dense part of the structure that creates the possibility for our reality. Okay, so we don't want to forget that, because our cellular aspects of our body, the systems of our body, holds and anchors in these other levels of constructs. Okay, so the cellular realm has a huge role to play in this as well. All right, so 4D block. So what do I mean when you can get past that mental field? All right, so the mental field is what I'm talking about this, it's when you get an intuitive data set and you immediately go into a thought, a conclusion, a place of meaning about that data set. And this is a tool that's used against light workers all the freaking time, because we will get a data set and we will jump to a conclusion about the data set without even noticing that we did that. We'll immediately give that data set a particular meaning, usually indicating if it's good or bad, acceptable or not, the truth or not, something like this. And then we'll go run with it until way later we find out, oh, that conclusion is completely wrong. And then it makes us doubt ourselves because we tie the conclusion to the data set. And then we start questioning our own perceptions, because down here later on in life, we realize it was wrong. But what's happened is that the data set itself is not wrong, just the conclusion that we came to about that data set is wrong. But yet we throw the baby out with the bathwater very often, or we're left in a crisis where we need to sort out so we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's a crisis of faith that happens. This happens a lot. It's used as a tool against humanity for many thousands of years. And this is something that we're learning how to transcend right now. Here, I'm going to pause for a moment. Laurel has something to say. I'm pushing the play button, but nothing is happening. Anyone else have this problem? Any suggestions? Okay, so I said that out loud, you guys. If anybody can help her, that would be great. You shouldn't have a play button. You should have oh, what happens when I click on live feed? I click on live feed. Oh, and then it just starts playing. It just goes there and it starts playing in the window. Okay, yeah, maybe one of you guys can help her out with there. I'm probably not the best person to give advice. All right. So there's some suggestions in there, Laurel. All right. So getting back to going to this other model. I don't know if you guys can see this clearly. I'll highlight it in black so you can see it more clearly. This model over here shows the relationship to the mental field to the other dimensions as we embody them. So the 1D is the core of the earth, and then everything between the core and the crust, it would be considered the telluric realm, which is the 2D. And then we have the 3D, which, our linear experience, right? But then we have this lovely canopy here, and this is 4D. Okay, and through that 4D canopy, we have all these other higher dimensions. So that means all these dimensions and higher, all these levels of awareness and data sets and higher, okay, if we are to perceive them with the mind, they get filtered through this canopy, which turns everything into a polarity field. And you can navigate in a polarity field. The secret to navigating the polarity field is being able to see, perceive, and accept all of the angles, all of the stories as a truth. And when you can see all of the stories, and when you can engage all the stories and you see the broader spectrum, the dark of the dark and the light of the light, and then once you can see and accept all those layers, then then your mind is able to let go and transcend its understanding to these other levels. But most of us don't do that. Most of us use our mental ability, our intelligence to rationalize things. And when we rationalize things, we are in the definitions our minds create about stuff, not the truth of what our biosuit is reflecting to us about stuff. And this right here, what I'm saying, reflecting what your biosuit is reflecting back to you, this is very similar to what a what a lot of people would refer to listening to your heart. Okay, I expand that because it's much more than listening to your heart in my perception. In my perception, the heart is the gateway in to everything else, but you're listening with a much broader scope than just listening to your heart in this particular understanding. All right, so we have this. If you are super intelligent and you have the time and space to reflect and ponder and do all this, and it might take weeks, months, or years even to ponder something. Okay, this is what our famous philosophers have done, and they come to brilliant places with this. If you have that time and space and ability, then the 4D probably isn't as challenging. But most humans are busy. It's like we have the artificial rhythms of the human world that we have to be in. We have children and school and work and paying bills and doing this and doing that. We have all these other things that we're doing instead, and that has our time space, and we're not able to deeply reflect and ponder, and we don't really have that kind of thing going on in our lives, most humans. Even people who are really in charge of their lives don't make a whole big chunks of empty time and space simply to ponder. We don't necessarily do that. All right, and so the experience of, so I like to have people have a tangible experience and then kind of describe what the experience is like with words. And the experience that I can talk about that I know all of you have had is the experience of going into an altered state, right? Either in ceremony or in meditation or whatever, right? Whatever way is your way into that altered state. Now, the more work you have to do to go from your regular frame, your everyday frame up into that altered state, okay, the amount of work, the amount of formulating, doing that has to happen to take you from your everyday mind frame into that altered state, all of that rigmarole is there to unhook you from the 4D field, from the data. You see what I'm saying? It's all that stuff is to give your mind, your who you think you are, a tangible something to point at, rest in order for you to let go of certain levels of your awareness and experience this altered state. Now, if you can just like sit down, take a breath, and drop in, and you're in that altered state, you've done a lot of cleanup in your 4D field. You've done a lot of mental body cleanup, emotional body cleanup, like this, and your cells, your telluric realm in your body, your cells are very clear, okay, and you can drop in like that. Now, if it takes a lot of work, or if you just can't get there at all, then a lot of you is still super engaged in this 4D realm, and there's still a lot of emotional body turbulence happening in the second D, in the telluric realm of the body. Okay, so what we can do is go into that altered, be in the here and now, and practice going in and out of that altered state, and make that like your practice. Your practice isn't necessarily to go as deep as you possibly can go, though it's good to do that when you feel impulsed, when your intuition is telling you to do that. Let's do that, right? Because the deepening is the jewel. The deepening is the juicy stuff, the stuff that's the most treasured pieces of ourselves that we need to be aware of. Okay, so if there's an opportunity to go deeper, always, I mean, I'm on that board. Always take it. There's never have I experienced regret in going deeper, even though it might be really intense to get going that deep. You know what I mean? The payoff, let's say, on the other side has always been more love, more gratitude, more growth, more strength. You know what I mean? So there's never have I experienced going deeper as something that was a detriment to my opening work. So going back, so you practice being in your everyday world and then going into your altered state, and you just kind of make that your practice. Do it 3 times a day, do it 5 times a day. The more you do it, okay, these veils, so the space in between, the part of us that feels like that this reality is different than that reality, right? That feeling of a shift, that sensation of shifting either this way, that way, or up or down, whatever, that feeling of movement in your awareness, like that movement part, that is the stuff in the collective you are navigating through. That is you see what I mean? It's like you're going from a clear space through a cloud to a clear space like this, okay? So that stuff that's in between, that is the 4D levels of yourself. Now, the thing that we have that's in our favor that is huge right now is that the veils are lifting. So that stuff that's in that cloud that is in between, it's all you. It's all your thought forms. It's all your belief systems. It's all, you see what I'm saying? It's all stuff that you are carrying in your biosuit. That's what that is. So the more you practice like this, because those veils have shifted, because those veils are lifted, you are subconsciously canceling out significant chunks of your belief systems, of your thought, you see what I'm saying, of your constructs by simply going back and forth. Now, many people have the belief that you can't go into those altered states without a sacred space being held. Because that is a belief, they're not going to get there. But once that belief is gone, going that deeply is simply a matter of shifting your awareness. Like I look this way. Okay, so I just shift my awareness like this, and boom, I have a bunch of insectoids waiting for me. Right? They're all just hanging out. And then I shift again this way, and there's an Akashic field right here that I can look into if it's interesting to me, if it's calling me. You see what I'm saying? So this, it's not like, we're born with this gift and this is just how it is. No. I worked hard to shed my blind spots and to get real and to anchor the truth. You know what I mean? It's like, this is a thing that we can do if it's in our will to do it, is to have that level of ease and precision with our awarenesses. And the really awesome thing that happens with this is that it's not just your awarenesses that comes online. There are healing abilities. There are kind of like superpowers that start to come online when you are allowing your perceptions to be that mobile, that pliable. And one of the biggest things that happens is that, and this is why a lot of humans need plant medicine, is because we hold our awareness. We're actually keeping our awareness in a particular spectrum, even though there's all this out here beckoning us, calling us like this, you know what I mean? And this is the big magic piece for us as intuitives, as empaths, as starseeds, like this, because we need to wake up to things that are not on this chart. We are waking up to things that are not in, just through the 1 through 9. We're waking up to things way up through here, which brings me on to my next point on why it's important to have these other memories of geneticists come in line. Hold on 1 second. Let me check what we have here. All right. Laurel made it. Linda, thank you so much. And Hodai says, so perceiving in 4D is being able to be in complete neutrality. Yes, I would say that is a good trademark. Yes, that's a good indicator, not trademark. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that word. It would be a good indicator if you're seeing everything and you're in deep peace and neutrality. Because we understand that everything is a drama, and we're aware of these other levels unfolding that is part of that created the ripple effect of the drama we're witnessing, right? So this gets me to the next piece, and this is the one I'm going to have to talk a lot about here. Okay, so black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. This is 9D right here, okay? You notice these frequency waves coming out, okay? And this is also part of that work that I was talking about with Barbara, but there's several people that have taken this understanding much further and gone much deeper. And she actually wrote a book about one of those guys' work called The Mayan Code. So what's happening is that there are waves emanating out of the black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And these waves are the organizing forces for all of reality that unfolds within her. Within the Milky Way galaxy is organized by these waveforms. There's 9 altogether up until 2012. And right now we're in the time of, we were in the time of no space, and now we're about to go into back into time again. but there's many more wave organizing forces now coming out of the black hole, not just 9. Okay, so 9 waves, 9 lenses, right? And then, every human on the planet has these lenses available to them. Now, there's other humans on this planet that have a lot more available to them. And what happens is that we are not being taught about these other levels. We are waking up to the memories of these other levels. And it's because it's our own memories, we are bringing forward new creation waves, because it's us, right? We're bringing forward new creation waves out of the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Okay. Now, this is also why the falling away of the constructs of who we think we are is such a big piece as well, because like I was saying, who we think we are, we keep our awareness like this, but when we can shed those ideas of who we think we are, that scope gets bigger, 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 and we can step past the threshold of the galactic mind. And the galactic mind was the main thing that the teachers of this planet were the mystery schools, what they were teaching us about, who we are as our bodhisattva nature. Okay, so the Milky Way galaxy is the galactic mind. We are all have an expression of the galactic mind in this biosuit. We all have a heritage, both on a spiritual level, but also DNA wise, of a bodhisattva nature. So these times is us stripping away what we need to strip away so we can be the expression, the embodiment of our bodhisattva nature. Now, bodhisattvas this is a term from Eastern teachings, and that is, these are beings that say yes to enlightenment, so to speak, in order to end suffering of all sentient beings. Okay. Now, some of them say specifically mankind, but some of them say all sentient beings throughout the Milky Way. So really what happens is when you wake up to the galactic mind, when you've stripped enough away of your belief systems, enough of that away, and you wake into the galactic mind, it's this huge, huge, vast well of compassion that is never ending and is unconditional on every level. Okay. This is us. That's our true nature. That's our, you know what I mean? That is the original thought. That is the original intention of humanity, is being an expression of that divine nature, of that bodhisattva self. Okay. Now, in the Milky Way galaxy, I'm getting to the bigger pieces here. In the Milky Way galaxy, there was something very interesting happening in the Orion system. Now, the Orion system, and I don't have a star chart to show you, but in relationship to the center of the Milky Way galaxy, Orion is much closer to the center than we are, because we're like out in the arms, and Orion is more closer to the center. So as these creation waves were coming through, traveling through the Milky Way galaxy, there was something very special emerging out of the Orion system, and that is the birth of DNA. And the huge thing about this is that the number one priority for consciousness is endless movement, and DNA creates this dimension, creates dimensional perceptions like this, and it's an infinite playground of experiences for consciousness. It's like the juiciest part of consciousness experiencing itself, right? And they know that because in the original universe, there's also DNA. But as the universe as the cosmos, as life forms become birthed, so that's galaxies, that's stars, that's, the stuff, as that becomes birthed, they go on their own exploration. And once they reach a certain level of their evolvement, DNA starts to arise within. So DNA was being birthed in the Orion system. And there was a creator God, a creator being that sent their biggest and baddest archangels to go and incarnate that DNA, to imbue that DNA with their consciousness. Now, this League of Angels, what this means is that these beings were saying yes to experiencing fragmentation. Okay, because the DNA wasn't involved, it was the beginning of the DNA. It was not DNA as a expression that a DNA that can hold the divine expression of creator consciousness, of cosmic multiverse consciousness, right? We are that, the DNA,
We are that DNA, but back then this was still in the beginning. So Orion had the first DNA, the first DNA being imbued with divine consciousness, with consciousness like this. And what happened was, as it evolved, there were beings being granted sentience, and there were many beings being granted sentience, and one of them being different levels of reptilioids, insectoids, all kinds of beings like this were getting granted sentience because of the presence of this league of archangels. Now, genetic manipulation, genetic augmentation, all this stuff is a huge part of the consciousness building of the universe, of the universes. Okay, so genetic manipulation is a very highly developed science. It's a very highly developed practice, and it's multidimensional. It's not just you're creating this life form. It's like you are creating potentials for universes, potentials for the expression in galaxies, potentials for timeline trajectories of planets and suns by the kinds of DNA you create. This is really important because the original imbuement was intended to create a vessel for divine consciousness to express itself through through radiance like this. And this got corrupted, and that is because those archangels went through a transformation into fragmentation. And then there was the big wedge of that fragmentation, the expression of that was, there was ideas of how to accelerate the spiritual consciousness of certain DNA lineages like this. And there was a huge disagreement about that. And the disagreement was to augment using technology or to organically through the natural rhythms of that DNA expression, what we maybe would refer to as mystery schools, spiritual consciousness teachings. This is the way to accelerate evolution. This is the way to accelerate the DNA's ability to hold consciousness, or augmentation through technology. Those were the two pieces, and this is what started the wars that I often refer to as the Orion Wars. This is something, there was so much high-level technology being applied during that time. There was planets and star systems, all kinds of things were blowing up. There was time loop devices, there was cyborg technology, AI technology. There was battles going on a mass scale. And the reason why I'm saying all this is just tapping in some of you guys who have memories of this stuff, because it's like, if you have memories of this, you're feeling things firing off in your body as I'm talking about it. Let me check in real quick. Welcome everybody. Welcome Sergey, Lori, and Reagan. Welcome. All right, so getting back to, so there's this big rift that happened between those archangelic leagues, because they're in fragmentation. And they're no longer holding the frequency of angels. They're now in breaking off and creating soul groups and soul agendas like this. They're doing all this kind of thing. And when it comes to DNA, influencing DNA, creating other races, okay, creating other species, whether it's cyborg, AI, or organic, the creator, the people, the beings, the multidimensional nature of DNA, what this means is that if you have a memory of being an abomination, or like there's werewolf lifetimes in this collective consciousness of this planet, they felt like they were abominations. I mean, there was all these, if you have feelings of being these other races, and there's say like an abomination kind of feeling, or maybe not about, or another kind of feeling, what's going on is that you need to wake up to that memory, and unravel the collective ties, the collective distortions to that memory, so you can get back to being the memory of being the creator of that DNA. So all the master geneticists, it wasn't like on this planet where it's science. This was a master of the multidimensional multiverse and able to weave DNA dances to embody consciousness. So every creation we made, we imbued. Everything that that's so with cyborgs, every cyborg, manipulation that went on, taking technology and marrying it to DNA, we went through and experienced it. We imbued it because there's no separation. And the reason why these memories are coming online for people, this is huge. The reason why it's coming online for people is because you're waking up past the galactic mind. You're waking up to the levels of consciousness that creates these creation waves that are emanating out of the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And this is super important because we are reclaiming our natural rhythms, okay? We're reclaiming our systems from the power over dynamic. And this power over dynamic is massive. And I'll get to that part in a minute. But first I want to say something for the star seeds and the rainbows and the crystals and the diamonds. Mwah! Thank you for that, darling. So and that is, so the star seeds that are coming through that are like, you know, rainbow or crystal or diamonds like this, they are automatically hardwired to go past the 9D. So you're going to face having those memories much sooner than other people that that have been on this planet longer, or like so I was born with more of the indigo signature, even though I'm way past diamond now. But what happened is that there is a lot more integration work for us to do in order to deal with all the distortions of our lenses, so then we can launch past and have access beyond the galactic mind. And this is when you're starting to wake up to the cosmic nature, and your fourth eye is opening up to the multiverse, and then you're seeing beyond universes. And those who are waking up to the multiverse, you can see very clearly how the polarity universe, the polarity reality that this lens is holding, is falling away really fast. And we ourselves personally don't feel locked in it at all. We can see both sides of the spectrum very easily without effort, though, and when others, you know, might struggle. All right, let me go back here. Hodai says, yes, I remember those wars. Yes, yes. Yes. Oh, and there's more. There's a few more things I need to say about this. Okay, which archangels? You know, it's funny. I hear your question, and the knee-jerk response is all of them at that level. Okay, because this is where we're getting into the power of dynamic. Oh, I'm going to be stepping on some belief systems here. Okay, so. There is work being done by a gentleman that I'm a huge fan of. I mean, there's distortions in it like everything else, but he's the only person I've seen that's able to put his finger on this, and that is the extent of the power over dynamic as it's playing out. So we had the Orion Wars, right? And everything rippled. So what happened, though, there was an empire that emerged out of Orion, out of those wars, and it pretty much claimed dominance over lots of territories. Now, what's that mean? Like, we have the idea of like Star Wars and the Federation, right? We have that kind of idea. But this is a multi-dimensional level of consciousness that is controlling star systems. You see, so star systems aren't just star systems. That's a consciousness. That's a consciousness that is where there's soul groups incarnating within that consciousness, or that consciousness actually creates the soul groups. Okay, so expand our understanding here of what it means to have domain or dominion over something. And so the way it is they control the spiritual connection, the relationship that the species, the souls have that are inside biosuits. They can control the relationship they have to creation, all that is, okay? And this creates, you know, demigods. This creates deities that say, I'm the creator of all that is. You must worship me. You must honor me and praise me. And I will take care of you. I will grant you, you know, grace. I will grant you good harvest. I will grant you healing, la, 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 okay? And this empire, and the gentleman that I'm talking about is George Kavasilis. I don't know, I've heard it said a few ways. I like Kavasilis, but anyway, I met him down in Albuquerque and listened to his talk of the 3 impositions, and I thought it was brilliant. He definitely flipped out everybody there in the room. But this is so what's happening is we need to wake up past the control systems. The control systems are like 9D down. And we are waking up past the control systems, so we become the ones who are choosing what creation forms are emanating out of the Milky Way galaxy, which means we are actually controlling the trajectory of the Milky Way galaxy and the Andromeda galaxy, because they're together right now. And I'm sorry, there's something pushing me off the point that I'm trying to make. Hold on a second, let me. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, there's a lot of information coming at once. Hold on a second. First, Hodai, I want to say that all the archangels that we're aware of are the ones that are part of that drama. All the ones that we're aware of on this planet. Okay. So there's that. And then the other thing that's coming through is around. All right, I wasn't. Someone's mad that I talked about the steering our Milky Way. Hold on, I'm getting hammered now because they're just like, what are you saying? All right. So let me go back to the wars, the ripple effect. The ones that were taking over and exacting dominion over those realms, right? That is what we would call the royalty, right? And it's a matriarchal thing, and it controls the systems themselves. So it has, and it creates, it manifests and manipulates these creation waves into things. Okay, it doesn't have that kind of hold in the Milky Way galaxy, but it's trying to. So the empire that I'm talking about is vast to the cosmic level. And this freaks people out because our relationship to God is the way that they manipulate us in the most deepest level. But what I'm here to tell you is that your DNA, your DNA has Bodhisattva consciousness nature in it. It's inseparable from that. Your DNA is inseparable from the galactic mind. So the only thing that can really get manipulated here is the collective field. Okay, artificial rhythms being woven into the telluric realm, okay, which can't be sustained over long periods of time, because the telluric realm will kick back. You'll have earthquakes, you'll have tsunamis, you'll have volcanoes, you know what I mean? So there's only so much that can be done on this level, unless it includes the human will. And once you get the human will involved, then you can start weaving, demonic grids into the ley lines. You can start weaving poison through the collective consciousness. And that's kind of what's happened. And that's why the Pleiadians refer to man's relationship with God as the God poison, because God, the reason to kill and create suffering for God has been enacted by man for thousands and thousands of years. And that's part of how we perpetuate global tyranny, is with the mask of, one God against the other, which is all a game. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. Okay, so let's keep going down. Laurel says, I'm in. Don, welcome. My first live. Welcome to the first live. Okay, so Sergey says, is it Serge or Sergey? Let me know if I'm, yeah, guys, if I'm saying your name wrong, please tell me. I want to make sure I'm honoring you clearly. All right, it says, my take is that we are leaving all gurus and other spiritual help. Yes, exactly. We're going to 12D and up. We work with Source directly and no more need for help, as we are now unified with Source. So direct knowledge. Yes, this is exactly it. We are returning back to our true nature, our wild, undomesticated level of self, which means we are never outside the light of our radiance, of divine creation, of the all that is, that weaves through all things. This is true. I resonate with what you're saying. Yes. I would invite you to consider not limiting the dimensions, because you said going to 12D. I would invite you to consider even further than that, because so we have everything that's above, like say you're going from, so this is the galactic plane, right? Then everything beyond, then everything like, 10 to 19 is a cosmic plane. I'm sorry, a universal plane. And then beyond that, in the 20s, you're in a cosmic plane. And then beyond that, you're in a multiverse plane. You know what I mean? You're in these different planes. And there are humans right now that have access to all of those planes. And there's also other beings, interdimensional beings, like beings that are living in the inner earth, but also the ones that are in the collective grid psychically that have access beyond those levels as well. And a big player in that are the Sasquatch. This is why they're so important that they're doing their work, because they are touching people on such deep levels, and they are bringing such deep healing to humans, like one-on-one, one at a time, you know, like this. And they're conditioning a whole bunch of humans to be able to handle their levels of perceiving reality. Okay, they're conditioning humans to experience their version, their relationship to the universal mind, to the galactic mind, to these levels. Okay, so so there's a lot of other beings that are weaving this awareness into the collective, so it makes it easier to connect with humans. But it's difficult because there's huge layers of personality, ego, of who you think you are, that has to fall away. And so much of this happens without our awareness. So much of this happens without our awareness. And it's because our awareness, like I said, we hold in a particular mind frame like this, okay? So an example of this is, you know, I was telling you guys about the Wim Hof. I'm loving on the Wim Hof. It really helps people. It really so helps go deep into the body. And there's some the places in between where you empty your breath, and then you hold your breath for an extended period of time while you're empty. That takes me into such a deep altered state that my awareness starts getting challenged, because and this is how I discovered it on a whole nother level. I was going into this altered state, and it's interesting. You don't need to breathe. There's like no need to take a breath for a very long time. It's just you're in the suspended state. I'm in the suspended state, and in that suspended state, I'm going into the tingling in the body. I'm going in, and then all of a sudden, I run into this place where, like, oh my gosh, I noticed I'm steering my awareness. There's a construct. All of a sudden I was just aware of this kind of construct that was there, that was steering my awareness to look this way, to look that way, to do this, rather than just kind of just relaxing back and letting whatever come into my awareness. Very similarly to how the Buddhists talk about, some of the Buddhist teachings talk about your relationship to your thoughts when you're meditating. You know, just let the thoughts be clouds in the sky that go by, like this. Well, it's like that, but another level. It's like, instead of that, it's more of letting my awareness be completely relaxed and let whatever come in, like this. And what's interesting, it's like a multidimensional full spectrum data sets that are coming forward at that point. And sometimes I go so deep, I'm in the bug realms, or sometimes I'm in just this light realm. You know what I mean? So I love this technique, because it really just brings me in, and it's helping me notice ways that I'm restricting myself. Because this is unraveling. It's never a boom, now you're done. Never is it like that. It's an unraveling. It's a process, because we're not just like taking care of a few lifetimes of blind spots. We are journeying through eons of conditioning, eons of a soul's journey. You know what I mean? Many millions and billions of years of travel. This is what we're unraveling. I say travel, it means accumulation of experiences that create conclusions on a soul level or not. Now, when you are waking up more and more from who you think you are, the next layer after that is to wake up to who you believe you are on a soul level. Wake up past that. And that's where people become, they're in that place of transcending soul groups, transcending agendas of particular soul groups that have come to this planet. And I do need to talk about this in the stargates of this planet. So the DNA dance that we have, the more restricted it is, the more it limits the potential consciousness that can come to this planet, either via stargates or ships or whatever. But the more our DNA dance is liberated and opened, and the more free we are inside in our radiance, then we are upping the potential exponentially. And that's why there's so many new stargates coming online in this planet. I mean, the governments, I'm sure, are going crazy, because there's like new stargates, really ancient high level stargates coming online now on this planet, which means there's those beings that match that kind of consciousness can come through and be here. And once they come through and they're here, if they incarnate in a physical body, really super powerful, but just having them exist in our collective field has an impact on everybody else. Okay, welcome. All right, Serge. Okay, thank you, Serge. Welcome, Sonar. All right, so that's a big thing, and we need to understand the Stargate systems of our planet. It's like of the solar ring, not just this planet, of the solar ring, because all the planets in our solar ring have an active participation in the unfoldment of consciousness here. So a lot of people talk about this ET race and that ET race, and there seems like there's a whole lot of ET races from Sirius. What's up with that? You know, and what I want to say about that is that the really high level beings, the ones that go through stargates, go through stargates, that's a particular kind of bandwidth of consciousness. And the higher level ones come through stargates. The lower level ones come through ships. So if they are not, I'm not saying a ship through a Stargate, but actually come interdimensionally on a ship like this, if they're just popping in like that, you know, they have a particular spectrum of awareness. They're still in certain levels of separation, right? But the ones that are traveling through Stargate, those are intact star level intelligence like this. So that's why it seems like so many high level races came from Sirius. It's because there is a Stargate connection between Sirius A and our sun, and you pass through that sun to get to our sun into our solar ring. It's not that those beings are actually from Sirius, as in that's where their civilization was seeded from. Their civilization often is seeded from other universes, other galaxies, other places like this. It's just that's the Stargate pathway that they came through to be here on this planet. So, and that's why a lot of people in humans also feel like they're from Sirius, because they're recalling that connection between the sun, Sirius, and our sun, like that. Okay. So just to clarify that, because there's a lot of mantids coming in to people's awarenesses these days, and they are teaching us very high level pieces. You know, they're speaking to us on these channels, on the galactic highways of light. They're connecting with us on these levels, which is like maybe the channels of the angels or the archangelics, like this. And they're not from Sirius. They're from other realities, other dimensions, other thing like this. It's just their consciousness traveled here via that gateway. And so the mantids, there are very high level mantis beings that, you know, go way beyond, you know, the 20s like this in their awareness. And they're here because our DNA dance, the more it becomes freed up, the more of the memories of who we are come online. So they can reach us in a clear way, because we're at that frequency where we can be reached. Now, those of you who don't have that DNA dance freed up, you're going to experience the part of the mantid consciousness that is still involved in the Orion War drama. They're still involved in the power over dynamic. Okay, and those are the ones that are often referred to as the ones that are black, that are dark like this, and are part of human experiences, experiments and stuff like this. Okay, so I'm not saying this to negate the experience, because I understand it's very real on a cellular level, on a soul level, energetic level. It's all that's happening. But okay, you are you're the one being experimented upon. But it's because you don't understand, you don't see the reality beyond these lenses here, that you are the one doing the experimentation and the one being experimented on the same time. Okay, because you're both. And once that becomes integrated, your experience of the mantis beings are going to be these radiant, divine, high-level beings, versus when it's not integrated, it's a trauma drama, an abduction trauma drama. Okay. Now, I spent the whole first, 15 years of my life, 14 years of my life getting abducted regularly and having horrific things go on. So I'm not saying like this because I don't know. I'm telling you this because I do know. I've woke up past all that and realizing that there is a way, there is a piece. And the reason why I needed to go through all that is I needed to heal and integrate all these pieces, all of these ET interdimensional pieces. I needed to reclaim and reintegrate all this part of my essence, so I can do the work that I'm doing now. So I can take these teachings, I mean, they're fully integrated into my being, and then open mankind up, the starseeds, the ones that are saying yes to it, help guide the way to these other levels that are opening up for us. And this is why I have this actually in a closed group, because you guys, you guys have a yes for being here and to talk at a different level. There are people like the starseeds, right? There are people that are waking up to all these levels simultaneously, and they have no reference, they have no understanding what's going on and are quite frankly questioning your sanity, right? And so then you have, that's why I'm here, to help you guys, to help support the ones that are waking up like this, but also to help support the ones that have been on the planet for a while, that are integrating and having to face all those crises of faiths, all these belief systems that we really full on believed and had value and had got value from and growth and healing from, and now we're being faced with, oh, it doesn't work anymore. What the heck's wrong? What's going on? There's all these crises of faith that those of us been on the planet have, been walking that, to help you guys along too. That's all about freedom. As soon as a belief system is limiting your awareness or limiting your sense of freedom or making you feel like you're doing something wrong, okay, that is your indication to let go of that belief system. It served its purpose. It opened you up. It was beautiful. It was great. And now put it down, move on, lighten up, lighten the load so you can really launch forward off of the mountains of those teachings. Because the mystery schools were here to wake us up. And there's lots of people here on this planet that are awoke and don't need those processes anymore. And many of us are feeling called to be on the edge of the unknown and keep going, okay? And some of us are being called to hold the gateway of the mountain of teachings, you know what I mean? Hold the hold the doors open to that mountain for others that are ready to discover the mountain. No role is right or wrong, good or bad, better than or less than. We all are in this together, and we're all in concert so beautifully. Here, I'm going to check in with what Stenar has to say. I recently visited No Self, and it was hilariously small, ridiculous to go back to body identification. Yeah, I know what you mean. I need to turn that default around. What's your sense of key here? Yes, so excellent. This is perfect to the point that I was making in the beginning. So Stenar, it's about, all right, when you're in the body identification, when you're in the data sets of the biosuit, right? You're in that frame. And then when you shift your awareness, to the no self-identification, do it on command like this, you can just, and the feeling of the shift is the interference. So you practice, because the veils are lifted and you can go there because you can, right? So the practice is to go back and forth between those awarenesses over and over and over again until they are together like this and integrated. So you're no longer going back and forth. It's a matter of this. And that is how you retrain your subconscious to accept these other perceptions of reality through your mental field, through the subconscious and then your mental field like this. That's how you do it. It takes lots of practice and the will to do it though. All right, Todai says, I agree, but the breathing, I agree about the breathing method. I haven't seen Win or those teachings, but I was instructed on the empty breathing during a very deep meditation. Yes. Yes, and it's funny, it's like we discover it, it's really awesome, and then and then another depth of it gets revealed like this, and then here we are experiencing the awesome again. I love it. It's a rabbit hole. Thank you, Stenar. Thank you. Yeah, let me know how that goes. Okay, so let me wrap up with the last piece here about what does it feel like when layers of your ego personality are falling away. Okay, I only can give you my experience, but I feel like there's a clarity to this experience and it could help folks. Okay, and I started to go down this a minute ago and I got sidetracked. I apologize for that. So the deal is that there's a lot happening that the mind cannot perceive. There's so much happening beyond what meets the eye, and we need to make friends with all these other data sets going on in our body. We need to be really aware of what's happening in our bodies, and that's going to tune us into other things going on. And I talk about the 3 keys to accelerating your awareness, and one of those, the last key in that is cultivating an exo-species relationship. So I'm coming at it from that angle. So what happens is that there's all this stuff, there's all these nesting dolls of reality that's creating our reality. And so we have all these nesting dolls that's creating the reality that's unfolding in front of us, but then our own biosuit has a whole bunch more of nesting dolls of reality, which I would call the ideas of who we think we are, the ego sense of who we think we are, like that. And there's emotions in there, there's belief systems, there's all this little microcosm of stuff. And granted, everything in that microcosm was born out of these other nesting dolls, but yet we actively maintain it. So what happens is when we start getting introduced to an exo-species relationship, like the fly people who were coming on really strong last week, and the mantis and the Sasquatch and the Pleiadians and the Sirians and the archangels and the fairies and the devas, it's a big long list, right? As we cultivate these exo-species relationships, they are bringing with them their awarenesses of reality, and it's reinforming us in a really deep way. And what happens is that they're here to help us because we're all in this together. They're not here to serve us. They're here to, because we are brothers and sisters sharing this reality, we are in this together, and we help each other go, do what we need to do to realize our freedom again, like this. Because like the fairy realms, for example, they want to come back into they want humans back into their overlapping realities, just like many humans want to be back in experiencing the fairy realm realities. It's like we want that to happen. So in those that have that, share that, yes, they meet and you do things. And what they do is they show you things inside of you that keep you blocked to their realm. Okay, they're showing you things inside of you that block you from being able to interact in their realm more freely, or for even them to communicate with you. Okay, so, and what this looks like is they'll get your attention. They just want your attention, want your attention, want your attention. Now, a lot of times we want to understand with our mind, why do they want attention? We have all these questions, right? Blah, 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 blah. What is it that you want? Are you saying this? Are you saying that? Pull some cards, do. We're doing what we need to do to get the mind to understand why they're getting our attention. Okay, meanwhile, by doing that, we're actually splashing in the water, making a lot of noise interdimensionally, which totally undermines getting any further in their communication with them. Okay, so step one, stop doing that. stop doing the wondering. And I laugh because I've been there. I know that I've done that. How many times have I done, I can't tell you how many times that I pulled a card for the message. I didn't like the message, so I'll pull another card. I'll just keep pulling cards until it's just confusion, right? You guys are with me on that. Okay, so instead of the mind reel, I take a breath, and I go into the heartbeat, and I start feeling the rhythms of my body. And because I've trained through this engagement, my systems are kind of trained, I will just go deeper until I'll notice a feeling and there's an emotion inside. And usually when I'm going deeper, there's these thoughts kind of firing off in the background, that doesn't have the main part of my awareness, but I'm aware of the thoughts. And the thoughts will seem random, fleeting like this, but then there'll be a thought in there where I feel an emotion about it. I feel not only an emotion about it, but I sense that I feel absolutely right about having that emotion. Okay. Now, once I have that sense where I feel absolutely bona fide right in my feeling, that is the peace. Okay. So then I go in and I make contact with that piece very lovingly. I make contact with that part of me that feels justified in feeling this way or that way about something. And usually what will happen is that as I deepen in, I'll start to actually see a little version of myself. Maybe it's a child, maybe it's an adult, maybe it's this version or that version. And it'll have all kinds of different versions, but I'm just there with it. And as soon as I make contact with that inside of myself, there'll be emotion, because I want to know how they're feeling, like really how they're feeling. And once I do that, I'll actually start to purge my own emotions. We'll start crying or mad or whatever, I'm just feeling the feeling, and I'm thanking them so much. I'm thanking them like there's something separate from me, and for letting me know how they feel, where they're at. I am like deep gratitude for them, that part of me letting me know where they're at. And once I do that, the energy will start to slow down, and I'll kind of get a little backstory, or I'll be shown something on why the feeling is that way. Now, sometimes what they show me takes me off planet to something really old, and other times it's just a shape or something really, what seems more benign. And then I'll get a feeling, if it's an entity, that entity will start to reveal itself. It'll start to morph into different eyes than mine. And if it's a part of me, the eyes that are mine will stay there, and it'll start shifting and moving. And once it starts like kind of doing the shifting, moving thing, I know that that's the energy reorientating to my awareness. That energy is shifting like this. And a good example of what that looks like when it's a part of me reorientating and giving up the story, so to speak. If you guys ever seen that movie Total Recall with, what's that guy? Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was trying to get through airport security and he had this hologram disguise around him, but there was a glitch in the hologram. And all of a sudden it started to like, he said the same thing, like it glitched, and he said it a couple times, and all of a sudden the head started like switching to all these different heads and faces over and over and over and over again, like this. Like that's what it looks like. It's like, so if it's an entity, it'll wake up and it'll start to reveal that it's not me, in which case I will bring, I call in the emissaries and I ask where this entity, where's home for this being, and I send them that way with love and blessings. It doesn't matter if it looks like a demon or a cockroach or a dark this or dark that. It doesn't matter at all, because all beings get liberated in my field. That is the number one caveat in my particular level of awareness. All beings coming to my field have a yes for their liberation, and they will get that no matter who they are and what they look like. I do not discriminate. My compassion is unconditional, and beings know this. So they'll reveal themselves to me. They won't hide. A lot of them will cower and hide. If you're a person that bans things, banishes things to this or that, beings are going to hide from you. They're going to be terrified because they don't want to get banished or punished or whatever. Anyways, oh my gosh, I'm going over. Sorry, guys. All right, just finishing this part up. So if it's an entity, it goes, and if it's me, it's some part of me, my ego or whatever, it'll start doing the shape-shifting thing until it has a new relationship. Now, I'm still feeling, I'm still watching, I'm still engaged. And then maybe I'll wrap them in love gauze if there's wounding, if there's sadness, or I'll look into their eyes and I'll say, I'm here because this is the end. It's time. It's time for you to die. It's time for you to change and transform into something else, dearly beloved. And this is why I'm here, to hold your hand as you cross the threshold into death. This is what I'll say to myself. And it's so comforting to have someone, only those of you who've had near-death experiences can understand this, but it's so comforting to have someone hold you with love and compassion when you're about to transition. This is a huge gift to offer another being. So I offer that to myself. And then that part of me no longer fights death. It says, okay, I'm ready. And it transforms and dissolves. And there's nothing there but light, this radiance, little star speck, or it changes, but stuff like this. And then I reintegrate, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. And that's what it looks like when an ego personality facet of me is falling away and dying. That's what it looks like for me. So maybe that's helpful. Thank you for all those hearts, darling. Thank you. So hopefully maybe that's helpful for you guys in your journey. But I do need to say, I had that clarity because of the exo-species relationships that I've cultivated over the years. These beings have helped reinform me on such a deep way that I don't have the kinds of attachments that a lot of people have, It's not that like I want to die or anything like this, but it's like, I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of the dark. There's so many things that just I'm not afraid of. I see it with eyes of love and compassion. And it's not something I tell myself I should have. It's actually the truth. This is the truth. And I engage everything in that way. And when I do, grace is offered to all, not just me, but everybody else. It's facilitating a graceful reintegration and letting go. Okay, well, thank you everybody so much for joining me in today's lunchtime chats. As always, if something comes up later on, please email me, message me, let me know, and I will see about including it in the chats.